Would you like to improve your English reading skills? In this lesson, we're going to read a newspaper article together so you can learn a lot of advanced vocabulary, complex grammar, complex sentence structure, and natural pronunciation in a very fun and engaging way. And at the end of this lesson, I'll share a link to a free PDF that summarizes everything that you learned in this lesson. I'll also read the article in full right at the end, so make sure you watch right till the end. Welcome back to JForce English Training. Of course, I'm Jennifer, and this is your place to become a fluent, confident English speaker. Now let's get started. Welcome to our article today. So first, I'm going to read the article in full and you can practice along with my pronunciation. So I'll do that now. Netflix backlash leads to another password sharing rule change. Netflix has retracted password sharing restrictions that were apparently posted in error on its platform. Earlier this week, the streamer had updated its rules for sharing passwords on its Help Center page. It noted that one's Netflix account is for people who live together in a single household. Netflix further specified that people who do not live in your household will need to use their own account to watch Netflix. The update was met with serious backlash, with a number of subscribers threatening to cancel their subscriptions. On Thursday, Netflix responded to the situation and said the information was shared accidentally. For a brief time yesterday, a Help Center article containing information that is only applicable to Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru went live in other countries, a Netflix spokesperson told The Guardian. We have since updated it. The Independent has contacted Netflix for comment. Since last year, Netflix has been testing out paid sharing in the 3 countries where an account holder is required to pay for an extra person, identified as someone who lives outside of the account holder's home, to access service. In Costa Rica, the added fee costs $2.99 a month. For people to have uninterrupted access to Netflix, the help document explained that people would have to keep watching something from their home every 31 days. If they don't, they will be asked to enter a temporary code in order to log in. Now, let's review the article in more detail, and you'll learn some advanced vocabulary and sentence structure. So let's start with our headline. Netflix backlash leads to another password sharing rule change. So to understand the article and the meaning, you need to know what backlash means. Backlash. Backlash is a noun, and it's a strong negative reaction to a change. A change or a decision. So the headline suggests that there was some sort of change or decision by Netflix and the general public said, no, we don't like that. That's backlash. This is commonly used with the government, but it can be used with companies as well. So you might say the government's I'll just say decision, whatever their decision is, the government's decision, their policy, the change, the new law, the government's decision resulted in backlash, which means people were upset. What? No, I don't want that. I don't like that. They complain. That is backlash. We commonly modify this. You might say resulted in a lot of backlash, to just emphasize the severity of it. So you can use this if your company introduced something new and the employees are really upset about it. That feeling from the employees, that is backlash. All right, so let's find out what this backlash is all about. Netflix has retracted password sharing restrictions that were apparently posted in error on its platform. Okay, retracted is when you take something back. So they had these restrictions live, and then there was backlash, strong negative reaction. So then they took it back. They said, no, we'll get rid of it. We'll cancel that restriction. So to take something back, to take back a decision, it's also used with statements. So a politician could say, my opinion is, and then later on he could retract that statement, which means he takes his opinion back because maybe he got a lot of backlash for his opinion or his statement. So to take back, another way of saying it is to reverse a decision. First you say, yes, we're going to do this, and then you reverse it and you say, no, we're not going to do that. So that's retracted. And what did they retract? The restrictions, the password sharing restrictions that were apparently posted in error on its platform. Apparently is a great adverb to add to your vocabulary because it's used, this is an adverb, it's used when you're not 100% certain if something is true. So I might say, apparently we have to work late this weekend. Now, if I just say we have to work late this weekend, it sounds like a statement, so it sounds like a fact. This is happening. But if I add apparently, then there's some doubt. This might not happen. Now, notice my placement here. I put it at the beginning, which is very common. You can also say, you can put it at the end and you can say, we have to work late this weekend, apparently. Or you can put it in front of your verb. And in this case, it would be, let me copy this here. We apparently have to work late this weekend. So in front of your verb. And that's where they have it here in front of the verb. All right, so that's the different sentence structures. And this is a great adverb to have in your vocabulary. Let's continue on. Earlier this week, the streamer had updated its rules for sharing passwords on its Help Center page. Okay, the streamer, this is Netflix, because Netflix streams content online. So they're just referring to Netflix as the streamer. The streamer had updated its rules. And this is for the sharing passwords. But then remember, they retracted it. They took it back because of the backlash, the strong negative reaction from the public, from the users. Let's continue on. It noted that one's Netflix account is for people who live together in a single household. Netflix further specified that people who do not live in your household will need to use their own account to watch Netflix. To be honest, I'm not really sure what this means. Does this mean that if I have a Netflix account and I want to go to my friend's house and I want to use my Netflix account at my friend's house, it won't work because I don't live in my friend's household? I don't really understand what this means, to be honest. And maybe that's why there was a lot of backlash, because it was quite confusing. The public didn't understand it. Maybe you understand what this means and you can let me know in the comments. Now let's take a look at this here. It noted. This is a great verb. It's used commonly in business writing, in formal writing, and spoken English as well, but in more of a business context. This isn't really a social verb, a casual verb. It's more of a professional verb. So it simply means to notice something. But let me show you how you've probably seen this, but maybe you don't feel quite confident using it, and now you will. We commonly use this with please note. Please note, and then you tell the person what you want them to know. What information do you want them to notice? Okay, please note that I'm out of the office until 3:00 p.m. So you might send this to your team in a chat. Please note that I'm out of the office until 3. So if they message you and you don't reply, they know why. Please note that. Now, we use this a lot in presentations. You might say, note that the sales have doubled in the last 2 quarters, for example. So you're giving a presentation and there's a lot of information in the presentation, but you want them to pay attention to something specific. You can say verbally, note that the sales have doubled in the last 2 quarters. It's another way of saying notice. Notice is just another way of saying that. And you can add please to be more polite, or you can use the imperative note that, which is used for directions. So that's a great verb to have in your professional vocabulary. Let's continue on. The update was met with serious backlash. So before I used the modifier a lot of, and here they're using serious. And of course, serious, it sounds stronger than saying a lot of backlash. Serious backlash. That instantly sounds a lot stronger. So you can imagine the negative reaction was quite strong if you say there was serious backlash when our company canceled the conference, for example. So a very strong negative reaction from the public. The update was met with serious backlash, with a number of subscribers threatening to cancel their subscriptions. All right, let's continue on. On Thursday, Netflix responded to the situation and said the information was shared accidentally. So they didn't intend to share the information. That would be the opposite. If you intend to do something, then it isn't accidental. So you could say that we didn't intend to share the information. So this is the same as saying the information was shared accidentally. Now, I could also say we shared the information accidentally. When you put it in the passive, this is commonly done when you want to avoid taking responsibility, because notice the difference. The information was shared accidentally compared to we shared the information accidentally, or I shared the information accidentally. It sounds like I'm more responsible or we're more responsible when I use the active form, and it sounds like we're less responsible when the passive form is used, which is why companies commonly talk like that. And it means the same as we didn't intend to share the information. Now, let's say the opposite is true and you wanted to share the information. You could say, we intended to share the information, and just that, we intended to share the information. So this is the same as saying, we plan to share the information. It was our intent to share the information. Okay, let's continue on. For a brief time yesterday, brief is a short period of time. It's another way of saying that. For a short period of time. It's more common, if you're using short, it's more common to say short period of time But for brief, you can just say brief. For a brief time yesterday. For a short period of time yesterday. A help center article containing information that is only applicable to Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru. So only applicable to is saying that Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru, the restrictions or the information was for them and not for others. So they have different rules or regulations or policies in these countries compared to other countries. So that's only applicable to. And this is commonly used with rules or policies. You could say, oh, that rule is only applicable to new employees. So maybe there's a probationary period, but is only applicable to new employees. Another word we use that's very common is apply. That rule, so I could say the exact same thing. That rule only, notice the changes I'm making. That rule only applies to new employees. So something applies to something, a rule, a policy, a decision. But notice here, I need my verb to be. That rule is only applicable to. Because it's with the verb to be, let's say I wanted to talk about rules, plural. Well, first of all, I would have to change that to those for plural. Those rules are only applicable. That rule only applies. Those rules only apply to new employees. So, of course, you have to conjugate your verbs accordingly. So this help center article that was available for a short period of time, a brief time, wasn't for everybody. So if you read this from Australia or France or Germany, it doesn't apply to you. It only applies to these three countries. All right, let's continue on. The Independent has contacted Netflix for comment. All right, good to know. Since last year, Netflix has been testing out paid sharing in the three countries. Okay, so the three countries we know that it's Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru. Now here, has been testing out our present perfect continuous because it's an action that started in the past last year and it continues until now. So they're still doing it. Present perfect continuous. Now in this case, adding out to the verb test out, test, there's no difference here. Netflix has been testing paid sharing. Netflix has been testing out paid sharing. There's no difference. Sometimes that happens with phrasal verbs. We add an out or an up. We add a preposition, but it doesn't change the meaning. This is one of those cases. So paid sharing, whatever that is, in the three countries. So I guess they'll tell us now where an account holder is required to pay for an extra person identified as someone who lives outside of the account holder's home. Okay, so I guess if I want my friend to access my Netflix, I have to pay a small fee of $2.99 a month. So I guess it's cheaper than my friend paying $15 a month for Netflix. She can just pay $2.99 a month and have access to my account. I guess that's what it is. All right, and then they just identify what a extra person is, someone who lives outside of the account holder's home to access service. So in Costa Rica, the added fee costs $2.99 a month. I guess that seems pretty reasonable to give someone access to your account. What do you think? Does that sound reasonable? I don't know. For people to have uninterrupted access to Netflix, the help document explained that people would have to keep watching something from their home every 31 days. Okay, so I'm not sure what happens if you don't watch Netflix for 31 days. Do they cancel your account? I'm not sure. If they don't, this is what happens. If they don't, they will be asked to enter a temporary code in order to log in. Okay, I guess people didn't like that, and that's why there was a lot of backlash, which is the negative reaction. So maybe if you're watching this from Costa Rica, Chile, or Peru, maybe this article makes more sense to you. I don't quite understand the change that Netflix is talking about here because I haven't heard about it, but you did learn a lot of useful vocabulary from this lesson. So I hope you enjoyed it. Amazing job with this lesson. I hope you enjoyed the article. If you did, let me know in the comments. And what was your favorite new word from this article? Share that in the comments as well. And if you look in the description of this video, you'll find the link to download the free lesson PDF that summarizes everything you learned today. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe. And before you go, make sure you head on over to my website, jforrestenglish.com, and download your free speaking guide. In this guide, I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. And until next time, happy studying.